I am Vinnie Tortorich, folks. Your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. The gorgeous voice, Miss Ella Fitzgerald. Yeah, there she is. Summertime. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Summertime. But we're going to also talk about some other stuff, and all that other stuff is going to be coming from the other beauty in my life, the only woman with a voice that comes anywhere near Ella Fitzgerald's voice.
Oh,
I'm talking about the beautiful Miss Anna Vocino. Yeah.
they call me the spoken word Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah, they do. Do
That's
you
what
ever
they
do
say.
haikus and limericks and all that kind of stuff?
I will read whatever they pay me to read.
Okay. I want you to recite.
I don't write them. Do not ask me to write a haiku on the spot.
All right.
Vinnie Tortorich, you are a fitness savant, but also a pain. I did it. I wrote a haiku.
A haiku is threes, right?
No, it's 5-7-5.
Is it?
5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables.
Okay. You did it.
Yeah.
The spot. All right. This is not a haiku or a limerick. It's a short poem.
So it's no structure at all whatsoever.
No, this is William Carlos Williams. I want you to recite his famous wheelbarrow. So let me give it to you, and then you can regurgitate it back.
Oh no, I'm scared. I feel like this is a trick. You're tricking me.
I want you to read. I want you to recite my favorite poem. So let me give you the whole poem, and then you can.
Can I just Google it?
Yeah, just pull up The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. I want to hear your voice doing that.
Oh, okay.
Whenever you're ready. It's your first take.
Wow, this is... Why are they not just showing me the poem?
I can give you the poem. It's very short. She's looking. She's looking. This is what you call good podcasting, folks.
The Red Wheelbarrow.
Okay, here we go.
So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens.
Wow. Now, the significance of that poem was the nuns made us go home and memorize a poem. You could pick any poem from this book.
Oh.
You got to come in tomorrow, memorize, you got to do it in front of class. That's the one I did back in
How'd it go?
I think they were a bit angry with him, but they said any poem in the book, right? This one
just
was
look for reasons to be angry.
So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chicken. I've been saying that poem my entire life. It's the only one I've ever memorized. I got a few.
I don't have any poems memorized.
I got a few limericks, with Nantucket in there. I think every limerick has Nantucket in there.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of haikus, which is poetry. They're both poetry in their own right. But yeah, I don't think I've ever written a haiku. Maybe I'll challenge myself to write one.
5-7-5. You got this.
I think I can do it. I'm not going to do it today because we're talking about summertime, Anna.
Yeah.
I'm like an Indian. And when I say Indian, I'm not talking about the guys over in India.
You're talking about the Native Americans.
The American Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, should we give a history lesson? Because I think people don't know anything anymore. Do you know why they were called why we called them Indians, even though?
Yeah, because Columbus was trying to get to India to get the spices, those good spices.
Yeah. He thought he was going to India.
And then he was like, well, I guess I'm here. So these people are Indians. And I've never seen them. This is me being Columbus. I've never seen them. So these must be Indians.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it's not India? Well, then it's the West Indies, which
Well,
always confused me
yeah, it was all weird because the
because I
first
felt like
time,
if you go further west, then you hit India. You know what I'm saying?
well, the,
As a
the
kid, I
first
was
place he
confused.
went to was Cuba. He hit Cuba first.
Hispaniola.
And, he got Castro to give him a few Cuban cigars, as the
Oh.
story goes. And then he headed up to
I
go.
was like, "Wait a minute, what? Isn't Hispaniola Dominican Republic?" I don't know.
Uh,
I thought that was his first landing place. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm one of those Americans who don't know anything.
yeah, it's all weird. At any rate,
Why are you
um,
like a Native American Indian, West Indian from the West Indies?
oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I got my ear to the ground, Anna.
Okay.
That's how the Indians knew if the paleface was coming to try to take them out.
Oh,
You
great
do you know
senses.
that that's where that term comes from, ear to the ground? You ever hear that term?
Yeah, but I thought maybe it was the people listening to you could listen to the railway and you could hear the railway coming, but ear to the
So you
ground is
can
just
hear horses galloping and the whole thing,
okay.
you
That
know,
makes sense.
they would put their ear to the ground. That's where that thing. So I have my ear to the ground, Anna.
Okay, great.
And you know what I'm hearing about? I'm hearing a lot of sob stories. I'm hearing a lot of people going, but it's
What do you
summertime.
mean sob stories?
And
Well,
I'm
what does
saying,
that have to do with anything?
but I'm going on a cruise. But when I go visit my relatives, we're going to Disney World. I get a lot of Disney World. All right, so the two biggest I get are theme parks and cruises. And there's no difference between the two. One is a theme park on the water, and the other one is a theme park on land. And if you're Disney, you have both Disney cruises and what have you. Okay. Now, I got the X, I watched the X, and I see people on things like the Carnival cruises. That seems to be a lot of young people doing crazy stuff. So there's that type of cruise. Now, when I was younger, back in the 80s, I took my one and only cruise in my lifetime, Anna.
I've never been on a cruise. Tell
And,
me about your one and only
all right,
cruise.
I shall. It
Okay.
was 1987 ish.
Oh,
And I was dating the beautiful Miss Lynn Ganser, the 6 and 10 o'clock news anchor woman for the NBC affiliate down in New Orleans. When she left, a woman you might have heard of named Hoda Kotb took her place. That's where Hoda got her start down there.
nice.
At any rate, Lynn, they offered, she was always getting cash and prizes. Anchors and all that, they get really cool stuff. And they said, hey, Lynn, you and your boyfriend, husband, extra friend, whatever, we're giving you this cruise on one of the most sophisticated ships in the world. So this is rich people cruise, right?
Yeah. Sounds classy.
We had to fly to California to get on the boat, and then you get on the boat. Oh wait, no wait, hang on. We had to fly to California, and then we went to Auckland, New Zealand, and that's where the cruise started in Auckland. So I'm thinking 1987, I'm a young man and I got this opportunity to go to the other end of the world for free. I'm in, right? Why not? I lucked up and I was dating the right woman at the right time. And we both got everything was free. The flight, first class, the cruise. We had the cabin, Anna, right next to the captains. We were the muckety muck on the cruise. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that part.
That
Right.
sounds like the only way to do a cruise.
Oh, the room. My understanding is if you're on a cruise ship, the rooms are tiny and everything. We had like a palatial estate of a room
Yeah.
on this cruise. Didn't have to pay a dime. So we got there early, a couple of days early, because I wanted to see all of New Zealand, the North Island, the South Island, Wellington, Christchurch. I wanted to go to Milford Sound. I wanted to see everything. And then you get on a cruise boat in the Tasman Sea and you take off and you're cruising. This is nothing like a Carnival cruise. You're out there with Thurston Howell III and Lovey, right? It's just us and really, really, really wealthy people. And As a matter of fact, it was so weird for me that I figured out where the crew hung out whenever they weren't working. And I would go up there to suntan on their special deck. They allowed me to go up there, me and Len. And that's where we hung out. At any rate, the one thing I learned about a cruise back then, they said they had a gym on the cruise, but the gym consisted of a couple of 5, 10, and 15-pound dumbbells that were strewn about the floor. There was a couple of exercise mats, and there was a treadmill, one for the whole ship, one treadmill, and there was a spinner type bike, but it wasn't. It was something called a Tortorich bike. These were real cheap bikes; they barely worked, and that was it. So pretty quickly, I had to learn that if I wanted to exercise on this boat, I had to do it the way they did it on the Love Boat, because you got to remember, before that, I used to watch the Love Boat back in the late 70s. You know, Julie and everybody, they would run around the deck and that kind of thing. So I would run around the deck. Now, most of the time I was on a cruise ship, I was seasick.
Yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
forgot you get seasickness.
Yeah. Oh my God. So the only time I wasn't sick was when I was running. So
Really?
yeah, you know, for some reason my body would equalize. So if I felt like I was getting sick, I would just get up and just start running around the deck. Right. People thought I was like Dean Carnegie before they knew who Dean Carnegie was. Just running all the time. I was either running or throwing up. Those were my two things. So I hated the cruise. But the only other thing you could do, nobody else was exercising except me.
Okay.
You know, I figured out a way to do pull-ups, pull-ups, push-ups, lunges. That's all I had. I was making do with what I had.
Right.
Sit-ups. I used that exercise mat to do sit-ups. I would even use, the 10-pound weight on my chest to add to the sit-ups. I was doing whatever I could, because the only other thing to do on a cruise was gamble. And as you know, I despise gambling.
Yeah.
I despise it. I think it's the worst thing in the world. Guys, you want to go gamble? You want to do, I see Sunday, everybody, they show nothing but the things when I watch football. You could come give us your money this way. You could give us your money that way. Here, give us your money. I get it. People like to gamble. I don't get it. I work too hard for money. I'm not going to go throw it away. But you can gamble on a ship, or you can eat. And they got food, Anna, 24 hours a day. I don't know how they keep that much food on the boat without the boat sinking. It's just, now, I don't want to be too virtuous here.
Okay.
Had I not been seasick the whole time, I would have probably eaten more food, more of the junk.
Right. Yeah, nausea will keep you from doing all that.
Yeah. It was like I was early Ozempic back then. I was always nauseous, so I didn't eat.
Yeah.
Because that's what people tell me. Oh, I take the GLP-1s, I'm nauseous, so I don't eat. Doesn't sound like a very good way to live. But there I was, nauseous and not eat. But I was watching everyone else literally gain weight before my eyes. Right before my very eyes, Anna. Right before my very eyes. People were just getting fat. Now, that's when I figured out, because before I ever went on cruises, I used to go diving in the Caribbean a lot. And when you live in New Orleans and you have the Gulf of Mexico, you could get to places like Cancun, Cozumel. You could get to Cayman and all that. Cheap flights, because it's all fairly close when you live right there. So you can live almost free flights, go to these islands where things are cheap. And I would go diving. Well, some of these islands, cruise ships would pull up. And I would see people getting off of those cruise ships. And they had the funkiest looking clothes. And all I thought was, wow, people who cruise, they really have no fashion sense. They're wearing these ugly flowery shirts, and they got, like plaid pants on, and they got their work, dress socks on with tennis shoes. They just look weird, right? That's what I always thought when I was younger, back in 82, 83, 84, years before I went on my own cruise. I figured out why those people were dressed so badly in the Caribbean. When you get on a boat with your clothes and you start eating that much junk, you start getting inflammation, you start getting a gut and everything. By the end of the first week, your clothes don't fit anymore. You got to go buy all the Cabana clothes on the cruise ship. That's why you look like Don Ho with the shirt on and the plaid pants, right? No one is immune to this unless you're me and you're seasick. So now I'm getting all these phone calls, all my consults. People call me. I did 3 consults today. I do 2, 3, 4, 5 consults every day.
Interesting. So it's all about what am I going to eat on the cruise?
They're going on cruises. What am I going to eat? We're taking the kids across the country and my wife is not on board or my husband's not on board. I just got off the phone with, what's his name? Mark. We're going to call him Mark Z because his last name starts with a Z. Mark is a multi-time caller. You know, I've talked to Mark over the years several times. And I'm not going to talk about everything we talked about, but Mark is getting ready to go on a cruise. He's been on cruises before, but he still wanted to do a little touch up. Because even though he and his wife are working on training for a marathon next year or later this year, he doesn't want to lose it all. You know, he's been working very hard. He's been through a lot of stuff. He doesn't want to lose it all. He wanted just a little catch up before he got on that cruise ship. And that's what I want to do here today. You know, I'm telling you guys, you got to be on top of this. You got to make up your mind before you leave. You can't go, yeah, I'm just going to go on a cruise ship. I'm just going to watch, because it becomes a slippery slope very, very fast. Very fast. You're slipping right off the edge and you're sailing right down to the bottom. Anna, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me think that, am I too loud? I'm very loud in my own headphones.
No, you sound
okay?
Your level over here is perfect. So go ahead.
Good. Well, it makes me think about, like, if you're looking at the vacation, right? You're looking at the vacation, and I understand life and a living, and we talk about that. Maybe it's a time to revisit that concept. But if you look at a vacation and, like, you just are looking at it like, I'm going to go all balls to the wall, hedonist, you know, eat all the things, Caligula. Like, if you're going to do that, then I would venture to say you're probably white knuckling your NSNG in your day-to-day life. You know what I mean? Like, because it feels like you shouldn't. And all I'm saying is collecting the data of how you feel in the moment. And if you feel like, oh, it's going to be too tempting, it's going to be too hard, then it's like, okay, good. Now you know that about yourself. And you can say, what is it that I need to fix? What are the beliefs I need to fix that say, right now it's too hard because I'm associating that food with a good time. I'm associating that food with freedom, with having fun. And I associating doing NSNG with not having fun or not, I'd rather have fun and be Caligula. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to kind of unwind these belief systems so that you go, actually, it feels better to not eat that food. I'm having more fun not eating that food and feeling sick and getting off the rails. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to me. And I'm not judging at all, because we're all normal. We all go through this.
Oh,
like, we
absolutely.
Have
We're all human here. Yeah.
But I think it's a really good chance to go, well, hold on. That's interesting. Look, to ask yourself then, what is it that makes you go, ooh, I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to have that thing. And then I'm going to have a million things. And then before you know it, it is Caligula.
But Anna, do you think that that's actually the case, that people think, hey, I'm going to be on the ship, I'm just going to go nuts for a week on the ship?
Yeah. And absolutely.
Ahead of time? Because
have you met people who eat food?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, well, Mark.
Especially when it's like, oh, it's free. And you know what I mean? I mean, it's not free. You've paid for it. But in your head, you're going, oh.
All the food I want. All right. Yeah. So Mark Z was telling me, they're going with another couple who have never cruised before. And his friend is morbidly obese. And he goes, that's all he's talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I think the appeal of the food is very much a thing for the cruises.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who don't care or don't try. I have a neighbor. great couple, he and his wife. They don't give two thoughts about food.
Yeah.
Not two thoughts. And they're both morbidly obese, and they're young
Most people
couple.
don't, Vinny. Most people don't.
I know.
And that's
you know,
okay. Like not everybody is. We are a very, very tiny
I do
subsection of the population.
I do get that, but man, I look at this couple. Neither one of them are in their 50s, early to mid 40s.
Yeah.
She's got at least 100 to lose, and I would venture to say he's got 150. That, and by the way, I'm not talking about to be perfect. I'm talking to be out of trouble, right?
Right.
And when
Right.
they're your neighbor, you see, I talk to these people all day with the consults.
Right.
But when you're friends with them and you know, they come over for, you know, to say hi and for coffee and a drink and the whole thing, you feel for these people because you know them, right? We're not close, but we
Right.
know them. They're the neighbors.
Yeah, of course.
Something happens in the middle of the night, they have my number. I'm going over there. If something happens here in the middle of the night, I'm calling them. They're the neighbors. That's what you do. We're all in this together. And you know, I just want them. I want one of them to go, hey, you know, they know what I do, by the way.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah, they know what I do. And, you know, the whole neighborhood does. But I just wish for a moment that one of them would kick up. Maybe if he came over and watched football. And by the way, when he comes over to watch football, I have the beer fridge. I have the beer fridge, right? For when people come over. I'm not that guy, right? People come over. As a matter of fact, I had to learn that don't buy too many beers because you got to throw them out after a while. They'll just sit there. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, Lauren will buy a 6-pack and it lasts the whole year. Is that bad?
Well, we buy, you know, I'll buy like a couple, like I'll get like one like crafty style beer, like, you know, and I'll get like one of like the Budweiser or one of the brands I know. And so I'm covered for anything when anyone comes over. But I'm told by Tallulah after a year, throw them out, start over. Right.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know
That's
that.
fair.
They're in the fridge and it's alcohol. What are we doing? It's like, nah.
I still have your scotch from my 40th birthday.
That stuff lasts.
Okay.
And by the way, you're 50 what now?
2.
Yeah. 12 years ago, Anna bought a
I still have that scotch.
and it's still full.
Right? I should have just given it. You should have just taken it home.
It will still be halfway full here. I don't, as you know, I pretend that I'm cool and I drink, but yeah, I don't drink a lot. But yeah, you know, I feel for people like that. And I feel for these people going on these trips. And I get it. You work your ass off, right? And this is your vacation. The last thing you want to think about is what to eat on a cruise or at Disney World. But on these all-inclusive packages, folks, the one thing I do know from being on a ship myself, there's lobster, there's steak, there's langostino, there's scallops, there's Dungeness crab, and they have it every day. They have it every day. You can have them whip you up an omelet in the morning. Okay, yeah, you have. Let's say you're on a cruise and you go, you know what? Every night, screw Vinnie, fuck Anna Vocino. I don't care. I'm having myself an ice cream sundae every night. You do that. Do that.
Or after you've had a shit ton of protein and a little bit of meat jewelry.
You've had you had a good breakfast, the omelet, you walked around the ship, you did this, you did that. Maybe you exercised, because now these ships, my understanding is they have really nice gyms.
They have a nice gym, yeah.
And they probably.
I wonder how many folks are actually in the gym, though.
I think there are enough people that actually go to the gym, because for them to put in the gym, that means people were asking, hey, I'm not coming and you don't have a gym, right? Back in my day, I was the one. I was the only.
You were the only one doing it.
I know that because I was on a ship with thousands of people, and I think I saw one other old dude and this kind of cute lady walked in every day, right? So, yeah, you know, have something every day. Or if you want to go, you know what? I'm having wine every day for lunch and wine every day for dinner with my thing. Do that. And you'll go, well, geez, Vin, you're on vacation. But it's not a time to go, everything's out the window. I'm going to have cake for breakfast. And when I say cakes, it could be pancakes, it could be
Right.
waffles, poured with stuff. I'm going to have 3 chocolate. What do you call that?
Chocolate milk.
No. The pastry pain au chocolat.
Oh, the chocolate croissant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pain au chocolat.
You have one of those every day for breakfast, this and that, and the whole thing. Next thing you know, you're doing, pastries for lunch and then this and that. Because the cruises don't stop with lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, supper. They have in between those too. So the food is there all the time. And it's up to you to stop the food. And
But I guess my thing is, it seems like on a cruise where it's all inclusive, it's actually easier to do NSNG because you can just get protein and veg super easy.
you can, but the other stuff is front and center all day long. And I'm telling you,
Like when you're driving across the country and all there is McDonald's and Wendy's, and I know we can get our beef patties and our sausage patties from there, but it's like, ugh, we had such a long, 14 hours that we were doing, and we wound up stopping at Chick-fil-A, and I was like, oh, I'll get the nuggets, the grilled nuggets.
right.
They tasted absolutely revolting. I had
Would you
2 of them. I was
believe,
like, never mind, I'm good. I'll just get cheese from the gas station.
Anna, it is 2025. I have still not tasted Chick-fil-A.
You still haven't? Well, it's 2025. I don't think I've had Chick-fil-A in about 20 years,
It's
and it was
2025.
not
I
good.
still haven't smoked a joint or had an edible or anything, and I've never had Chick-fil-A.
Mm.
That's my claim to fame. When I die, I won't have a tombstone because I want them to just burn me and throw me away.
Yeah.
Which is going to be weird because I have this metal part in my shoulder. So when they're throwing my ashes out,
They're going to have to recycle that.
Is it going to go ka-clunk?
Yeah.
Dumping my ashes and ka-clunk.
We'll have a Viking funeral for you. And then when we'll leave your like shoulder up as a shield, the Vinnie shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, you just have to pay attention. Enjoy yourself the way you would normally maybe have wine. Look, my rule, the Kristen Scott Thomas rule. If I'm looking at Kristen, I'm allowed to have all the wine I want. And guess what? It usually comes to a glass a day or less.
Yeah.
And the reason being is
I can't tolerate it anymore.
Yeah, they open
Sad.
they always have a good bottle of wine, like really good, like the stuff I can never afford, right? And for anyone who's new to the podcast, I have wealthy in-laws. So, I'll do that because I'm on vacation and I see her about once a year. So it's 3 or 4 days of a glass of wine every day. That's my
Well, I
vacation.
live in wine country, sit on the boards of a number of nonprofits up here, and am constantly barraged with amazing wine that I do not drink. So it is possible to just say no. I don't know. Listen, I always say this is part of like the learning, the development of it. Cause a lot of times when people are brand new to NSNG and they've sustained it maybe 30, 60, maybe a couple of 3 months, and then they have that first thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to go balls to the wall and enjoy my cheat day or whatever the thing is that they're going to have. And it's almost like you have to go through that to know how much it hurts your body because you were in denial that it was hurting your body so much because it was just part of your everyday life pre NSNG. So it's almost like, all right, so if you choose to do that, you'll just feel the consequences more, and that's okay. It's part of the journey. But what I don't want, and if one person out there hears me say this and takes it to heart, then I'm glad. I don't want somebody to be like, okay, I went on my cruise or I did the cross country trip or I did the whatever the thing is, went off the rails, and then are gone for 18 months on a bender.
And that's
what I don't want. I want you to stay with us.
How often that happens.
Yeah. Oh, it happens all the time. And I know when it does because there are people who are active in our community and then they just disappeared. I know exactly
They go
what's
away.
happening.
A lot of that happened during COVID, and I'm still getting that phone call.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah. People are going, yeah, I went off the rails COVID and I thought I could get it back. And then, I'm still trying to get it back. I'm frustrated enough. I'm finally calling you because some of these people before COVID had lost 100, 150 pounds, and some of them put it all back on and they just thought, oh, it's going to be easy to lose it again. But I think people forget, our bodies, our brains don't remember pain or hardship, right? And a lot of times we forget how hard things were. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, I could just go back, no sugars, no grains. Yeah, I'll halfway do it. I'll get there. No, look, you
You got to
can't
commit.
get halfway pregnant, right? You
Yeah.
can't go, oh, we're halfway pregnant, right? No, you gotta get all the way pregnant if you want to have a baby, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. The other thing we're talking about is purevitaminclub.com.
Ooh.
Purevitaminclub.com, folks. The purest vitamins on the planet. Someone was saying to me today, hey, you're still having trouble with shipping over there, right? Or it's like, no, everything's in stock. Everything ships out right away. The reason you're hearing that is because we're having some kind of problem with one of my other companies, NSNG Foods, where it seems like out of the thousands of products we ship out every day, one or two people it'll get lost at USPS. We don't know what's going on. USPS does not give us an answer. What they do over there is they hand us the money back that we spent,
Oh,
and
that's good.
yeah, but that
So, but then
doesn't
you have
help.
to send out a replacement, and yeah.
You have to send out a replacement and do the whole thing. But the bottom line is some people think, oh, you're still having trouble at Pure Vitamin Club. No, 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 no. Everything
I
is
got all my stuff.
everyone's getting all their stuff all the time. As a matter of fact, most people tell me in the consults, oh my God, you guys are shipping as fast as Amazon. I'm like, you damn right we are.
That's awesome.
PureVitaminClub.com. I started this company because I could not find a vitamin pure enough that I wanted to put in my body. So what I did was I came up with my own stuff. It's the best vitamins on the planet. I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to get you to buy it. I'm telling you that because it's the truth. PureVitaminClub.com. Go check it out right now. You can save a little money if you do a subscription, or you could buy everything off subscription. We have all kinds of options for you over there. Just everyone should be taking multivitamins. Everyone should be taking magnesium. Go check out what we have over there. If you are one of these people that work indoors and never see the sun, you're going to need our D3 with K. So go check out everything at purevitaminclub.com.
I take all of those, and I take the vitamin C
The liposomal vitamin C,
and the zinc.
that's got a fat added to it, a fat molecule to help it stick in
It's
your
supposed to
body.
be good for your skin.
Liposomal. Look at Anna. That's why she looks 12.
That's right.
All right. Anna.
Not anymore. I got the wrinkles now.
Oh,
So can I ask Bob Zimmer's question from last week that he texted me?
sure.
You don't know what it is,
No.
so I'm surprising you. But I know you're going to know the answer, and you're going to have a good one for him. First of all, he sent a cute selfie of him doing this thing, and he's wearing the weighted vest. Okay.
Does he have a
And
shirt on under the vest?
he has a shirt on underneath his weighted vest. So
Because
I was very
otherwise that would be
disappointed that he
nasty and
wasn't
not-
shirtless.
Hey,
in
listen.
Texas.
No, wait, hang on. Did he have a vest on, like with the thing in the front and the back, or was it more like a rucksack vest? Which one
It's
did
on
he?
the front.
So
It
didn't
looks
look
like a
like
bulletproof
bag?
vest.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, he said, added the 40-pound weighted vest to my zone 2 runs. Have about 30 pounds in it. Worked up from 20. Does Vinnie, and I got to say this, he spelled your name with the wimpy Y.
Okay, I'm not answering the question. Move on. Let's go to something else.
I can only assume he did text to speech and he didn't have his reading glasses on. And he did, because there's no way Bob Zimmer doesn't know how your name is spelled.
Look, I'm going to let it go this time.
Okay. Does Vinnie with a Y have any tips for using these? It kicks me into zone 3 quite frequently, but I'm walking until I bottom out in zone 2.
Bob, I know you've seen the
Bob with B-O-B-B is how he spells it.
Yeah.
Bob.
Bubba. I know you see the Navy SEALs running with these vests on. I know you see, get hard. What's his name?
Goggins
yelling the vest on the whole thing. I don't want someone your age running with extra weight on your top. You're going to end up screwing up your hips. Definitely your hips are going to go. Probably your lower back. You're going to get some strain there. And very possibly, depending on the shape that your knees are in now, they're going to go. If you're going to do any form of quote unquote rucking, adding extra weight because you live in a flat part of the world. I think he's in bumfuck Texas. You can walk. You want to walk uphill, you want to walk downhill, what have you, walk. Do not run. And this doubly goes for rucksacks. Now, the problem with rucksacks, let's say you have one from the Go Ruck company. Like I have the one from Go Ruck. And I have the one that is not made as a book sack too. It's just made as a rucksack. You put the plates in there and you go rucking. They do not sell it with a waist strap. It's meant to fit really high on your shoulders. I'm telling this not just to Bob, but to everyone. You wear it high on your shoulders and it stays nice and secure, and the whole thing. You could put, 10 pounds up to maybe, I don't know, depending on the sack you have, up to maybe 70 pounds, 60 pounds, whatever. Number one, don't increase the weight too fast. Number two, they sell an additional waist strap that you just hook to your bag, and the additional waist strap is like $35. I suggest, Bob, you said he had the vest in the front and the back. That's fine. But if anyone is using a rucksack, make sure you get the waist strap with it. Think about it. If you're out camping and, hiking in and you're carrying a 30 or 40 or 50 pound sack, like you see these people on the AT trail and everywhere else with the big heavy sack, that weight is evenly distributed on their shoulders and on the lower back. That's how those things work. To have all of that weight up high is going to make your body lean in a certain position, and it's guaranteed to screw up your hips. Guaranteed. I've seen doctors on the internet talking about it, going, don't use these things at all. I'm not saying don't use them at all. I'm telling you, use them correctly.
Okay.
And sometimes they run out of the strap that you hook to it, and the strap hooks on very easily, and it's nice and padded. And I have it positioned just like if I was going camping with a 40-pound pack, with equal distribution, well, a little more distribution on my hips, with just a little tug on my shoulders. It keeps my body upright the way it's supposed to be. It keeps my hips in the right position. As a matter of fact, the reason I figured it out was I got the rucksack from Go Ruck. They didn't have the waist strap at the time. I started using it and noticed that I was getting a lot of inflammation, a lot of pain in my hips, which I've never had before with much heavier packs on the mountain, right? So 2 things. Number one, don't run. I don't care if it's one of those 5'11" bulletproof vest looking things with the weight in it or a rucksack. I know you're going to see David Goggins do it. David Goggins is what we call a professional/idiot. Don't do that. He's actually a good guy. He motivates a lot of people, and I think that's a great thing. But don't do that. You're not David Goggins, right? That's it. Anna, you had a question?
Well, no, I guess my question, because I just walk with my 12-pound weighted vest and it's enough for me. And I'm like, I always wonder, I'm like, am I a weenie? And I just.
No.
But I like it. So now I feel better. And by the way, because I think I see every woman who's around my age, give or take 10 years, is wearing the weighted vest now. It's having so much of a moment that people are making fun of them on Instagram and making fun of, you know what I mean? But I'm also like, well, don't make fun of it. Like it's good to do it, right?
No matter what happens, people are going to make fun, and that's fine. Look, I've been laughed at my whole life. I'm happy.
Skates by your own wife.
Yeah, my ski skates I still have those things. I'm looking for an area near me to go do those things, because you want to be fairly flat with those things because there's no brakes on them. Now, folks, these are not skates like the inline skates. This looks like cross-country skiing where you can ski, the side cross-country skiing.
I think I want to try it. I think it looks fun.
You got the poles they give you.
I'm not afraid to look dumb.
Oh, you will look dumb. You will go down.
Great. Get in line then.
A couple of times. But there was an area out in past Woodland Hills in and the next town over. What is it after Woodland Hills? After Calabasas? It's
Oh, Agora,
yeah, the Agora area.
Calabasas, Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, Thousand Oaks. There was a 5-mile loop that was really flat, and I used to go out there and do on a slow day 2 loops, which is 10 miles, or on a good day 4 loops. You want to talk about wear your ass out. Those
Yeah,
skate skis.
I like that.
Yeah. And I found an area that looks kind of okay. You know, my buddy Dave, the kayaker.
Yeah.
I talking about Dave. Dave lives in one of those neighborhoods where the streets are really groomed, but there is some sloping. And so I need to go do some recon at Dave's neighborhood. That's basically what I have to do. I need to do some recon to figure out.
I could do it at the high school track.
See, that's the thing. We have a high school right down the street. They're doing construction over there. I should find out if we're allowed to go to the high school.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that would be perfect, right? You need a flat track so you can go practice it.
Yeah, but it's only a quarter of a mile around, and
I know.
And the turns are, but I'm looking for a spot to go because I want to start rollerblading again too.
Oh, yes.
And I keep looking at Dave's neighborhood because with rollerblades, you could throw a brake on those things, right? Or you can kind of turn them to the side and stop, the way you would stop with skates.
Yeah.
So you could do, meaning ice skates. So I might get myself another pair of those to go over by Dolak's house. But I want, before I buy anything, I want to do one more recon over there. And I think I'm going to recon it instead of doing it in my car the way I have been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go over there on my bicycle.
Okay.
If I'm on my bike,
then you can really see.
I can see what the grades are like.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel them and see if, because, when I lived in LA, when I lived in Brentwood years ago, I would go on the Strand from where it started, right at that fish house and right off of Sunset. I would take the Strand all the way down to Redondo Beach and back.
Whoa, yeah.
On skates.
Mm-hmm.
On skates, Anna. That would be 20 miles in one direction. Turn around and come back. Or it might have been 24 miles in one direction. I did the 30-mile skate so many times. You want to talk about something that kicks your ass up and down.
I bet.
Oh, my God. I had to work up to it. I would go from Sunset to... At first, I would go through Venice, and then I went, I wonder if I go a little further in Venice. And I would go to like Marina del Rey. Next thing you know, I was going to the airport. And then after the airport, you just go further and further. And one day I found myself all the way at the other end of Redondo Beach.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, right? And then
I'm glad that you like to watch shows like The Bachelor or Hallmark movies because I feel like it humanizes you. Because when you say things like, I did the skates for 20 miles down the coast every weekend, you're like, okay.
Yeah, because I'm just Forrest.
You're the Walt Goggins. You're the David Goggins in this scenario. I'm the Walt Goggins. You're the
David Walt Goggins. Anna, look, I'm basically Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Just,
you have a switch in your head where you can just go.
Yeah. Well, what happened?
Run, Vinnie, run.
Run, Vinnie, run. Here's the thing. It feels good. It's like a mental massage because, as you know, I have a problem with the world, right?
Yeah.
I can't stand to see anyone in pain. I can't stand anyone to be upset. Like I get so upset for people who are upset.
Yeah.
That's why I can't watch the videos, right? That's why it's so easy for me to do a phone diet. I don't want to see planes crash. I don't want to see people yelling at each other.
The digital diet? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. What did I call it? I said the phone diet, but I don't want to watch airplane crashes. I don't want to watch people getting hurt. I don't want to see cops and people yelling at cops and the cops are handcuffing them. I don't want to see any of that. I know it's going on. I can't.
People get really mad when you don't watch the news. Like people are kind of like, well, this happened. I'm like, what happened? And they're like, how do you not know? And I'm like, I don't, because it hurts my feelings. And I've learned that if I'm going to be productive in my life, I've got to protect my feelings.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I felt bad for Huck to a girl. Remember that?
She didn't ask for that.
This girl's just out getting drunk one night somewhere,
Yeah.
and they throw a camera in her face. And, I've heard her in interviews. She's like, yeah, I had to go home and explain to my grandmother what that was. It's like, God, this kid, you know, she didn't need that. And I feel bad. I saw that and I went, oh God, this is not going to work out good for this kid.
No.
But that's the world we live in.
That's the world we live
Right?
in.
I don't want to see it. I want to get on my skates and go to Redondo Beach.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go get my kayak
I'm
with
with you on
a
that.
kayaker and just go because we're in the water and it's quiet. And I know that makes me some kind of weird Pollyanna thing or whatever. I don't know what. I just don't know. I just know that the world doesn't have to be as ugly as it is.
That's true. But you know that like the news and all the headlines are, and when I say the news, it doesn't necessarily mean you're watching it. It could be the website or whatever that
Right.
aggregates the news. All of that stuff is designed to hook you in. So you doing the phone diet is you saying, no, I'm going to get my dopamine from a healthier source. And that's a good thing. So like it's designed to hook you in. I bet if we like did a survey of the entire country, it would actually be people are doing pretty well, but they don't report those stories because they don't hook into the people who are doing pretty great.
Most people are doing great and they just won't go to that. And
no, because if it bleeds, it leads. That's what they want.
yeah. And as you know, it took me 320 hours to build a kayak.
Yeah.
Right. Along with my buddy. Turning Point Boat Works. Go check him out. The guy knows what he's doing. 320 hours, man. That was the best year I've ever spent. Right now, I'm building a model train. Now, I thought the model train was going to go way quicker than it's going.
Really? It's taking longer?
It's very, very, it's intense. You have to be on it like you're dealing with minute thing. It's kind of like building the boat, right? Because you're creating a whole world that didn't exist. I started with a 4x6 area, 4 feet by 6 feet. And this guy, Brett, comes in. He's the train nerd, right? He owns it. He owns a place in town, Rail Tales. And Brett goes, yeah, we could build it off of this model I built like 20 years ago and the whole thing because he knew what I wanted. It's like, Brett, I got to have the model. And by the way, building a train layout has nothing to do with trains, right? We laid the track and we laid all the wiring before we started building mountains and roads and ski chalets and everything else. That's where the work is, right? That's where the centering is. And because I'm so busy running the companies now, I get to work on the train exactly once a week. That's it. Almost like the kayak. Once a week, I take 3, sometimes 4 hours. I tell Debbie, block everything out. And I sit there, Brett comes over, we're painting, we're creating. As a matter of fact, after this podcast, Anna, I'm going to send you a picture of what I have going.
Great.
Right? So you can see what's happening.
That's awesome.
Right. But it's coming around. And I suggest people do whatever it is you always thought you wanted to do it. I don't care if you're living in an apartment. You can always figure out a way to do things. Right. I figured out when I was working a gazillion hours a week, I wanted to finally do my dream of being an ultracyclist. The first time I'd heard about it was in 1985. I read an article in Bicycle Magazine about the race across America. And I told myself one day I'm going to be rich and I'm going to have a lot of money and I'm going to stop everything and just ride the crap out of a bike until I can do a race like this. And I looked around in 1992 and 93 and I went, wait, this is 7 or 8 years later. I'm not rich. I probably will never become Thurston Howell III. I better start working on my goal of riding a bike long distance. And that's what I did, right? I found, you can always find things in the margins. You can find the space. Everyone goes, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. Working with all the clients I worked with every day, I found time in the margins. when you're on a cruise ship, you have to find what you need to find in the margins. It's there. As I always say, take your motivation from a crack addicted person on the street. These people are broke. They're living on a sidewalk. They're living in squalor, but somehow they figure out how to get enough money to get high that day. That's motivation. I know that sounds crazy and that sounds weird, but these are some of the most broken people on the planet, yet they figure out a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Every single day. Anna, you have a thought?
Do you know what's like crack?
Yes, I do, because I've had it and I can't wait for it to be. I want to get it in the actual bag.
Yeah.
I want to get it in the actual bag.
It's coming. In fact, by the time this comes out, although it's debatable now because it seems we've lost an episode, but by the time this comes out, we will be shipping the crack. My friend Karen said to me, she's an investor in the company. She said to me, you need to name it cheese crack because it's crack. Cannot stop eating it.
Anna,
That
why
made me
did you
very
ask me
happy.
to be an investor? I would have been an investor.
I did ask you to be an investor.
You did?
Remember when I was fundraising?
Oh yeah. Oh, that I thought you meant this was other private money.
No. She was part of the crowdfund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, folks,
Cheese crack.
It's not called cheese crack. It's called cheese bites.
Cheese bites. Apparently, you can't say crack. It doesn't appeal to everybody in America.
Yeah. You don't want to eat cheese crack because that could be nasty too. That could be.
That'll get your teeth. You want cheese bites.
You want cheese bites. And you know where you get those things?
EatHappyKitchen.com.
EatHappyKitchen.com. Anna Vocino makes these things. By the way, these things are crack. They're delicious. And guess what? There's no sugar.
Nope.
There's definitely no grains in it. So ding, 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 ding.
By the way, somebody wrote me saying, hey, I'd like to see the ingredient list because I'm strict NSNG. And I thought that was an interesting request because I was like, oh, you know that all I put out there are NSNG products. I don't put out products with sugar or grains, and I never will.
Right.
And you eat your pasta sauce with pasta? Have at it.
Yeah.
Do I eat it that way? No, I do not.
Mm-mm.
I appreciate the irony of being an Italian woman who has jarred her sauce and sells it and doesn't even eat pasta. It's okay.
But you know what you could do, Anna? I haven't tried it yet.
What?
But I will when I get more cheese crack. I'm going to take some of your pink crema.
I was just going to say this.
I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to microwave it. Just
a little chicken broth in there.
No, I don't know.
Soup. Make a soup.
I'm just going to heat. No. I want it to be thick.
Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know where this is going.
And I'm going to take my cheese crack.
Okay. I like this.
Dredge it. I'm going to dredge it through. Right to the mouth. You know what?
Put some beef in there too.
Maybe. Oh, you know what? I could break up some ground beef in there and add some heartiness to it, right?
Yeah.
So I'll brown some beef and then I'll mix it with with
pink crema. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to sit here. You know what? My first football game. As you know, I don't watch preseason, but I'm going to have this figured out by football season.
Great. I love it.
This is going to be my go-to when I'm watching that game.
Chicken wings and the cheese bites would be really good together too. That'd be good snacky football food.
Chicken wings because we know how to do like the air fryer in the oven now because we have an air fryer oven. Like our oven, we just use the convection oven and we do the air frying there. We got the tray that does that. And look, I've been doing that for a couple of years.
That's
Anna
great.
Vocino seasoning. First Anna Vocino thing I made. Do you remember the first football food I made with your stuff?
Did you do barbecue dust on the wings?
No, the first thing I did was, remember I would take the raw nuts.
The nuts, that's right.
The pecans and almonds, and I would put
Do
them
you
on a
put the dill and the barbecue on there? 'Cause
No,
I like mixing it and doing a barbecue ranch
I
nut.
I've never done that. I've always done just the barbecue, and, sometimes I'll do a hot barbecue where I'll put the
With the
barbecue
cayenne.
and then add cayenne to it. It's
Yeah,
kinda
that sounds
Cajun-y.
great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's because I like hot and the stuff
Yeah,
is not hot, meaning
right,
spicy hot,
right.
and, that was one of my first football foods, and then I learned, after I figured out I can make the ranch dressing, then ba-boom,
Yeah.
started with the,
Oh god, it's so good. I'm hungry now. I
yeah.
need to get dinner going.
Yeah, yeah, and then, after that, you gotta use the Franks, you have the Franks there,
Yeah,
the hot sauce, and you
easy
have the
peasy.
Anna Vocino dip,
The ranch dip,
and now this year, I'm gonna have the 3rd thing is I'm gonna call it the Sicilian. It's gonna be the chips dredged through the pink crema
the
with
bites, the
yeah,
cheese bites.
the
Yeah.
cheese bites.
By the way, I just wanna say this. We have reduced the price on the 9-pack variety pack because we think that's the one that people are gonna be the most interested in because people
Mhm.
wanna try all 3 flavors,
Right,
and we can't do any less than 3 cheese bites to a box, and
right,
we can't mix the flavors in the box, right? So then that we're taping 3 together to be the 3-pack variety pack,
right.
and that's the one we've lowered the price on that really low. So if you're
So
interested in
people
trying
can
this, that's
figure
the
out
one
yeah.
to get.
You know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna buy that just because the price is cheaper. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
we're just
I'm gonna
doing this cheaper launch price, and then we'll see how it goes. If
yeah,
you guys like them and you reorder and you're writing good reviews and you know that we know people like them, great. Or like everything, if it's a complete dud and everybody hates it, we'll never make them again.
yeah.
But I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, Anna, trust me, this is gonna be a big hit. Cheese crack,
I hope
folks.
so.
Go to eathappykitchen.com. They're actually called cheese bites. Go check it out. As a matter of fact, go to annavocino.substack.com if you want to learn stuff. Look, a lot of what's there is free, right, Anna? I mean, you go there, you get
99% of it's free. I do have a paywall of $5 a month, or you can pay $50 for the year, which winds up being $4 a month.
mhm,
But I put most of my stuff out there for free. I post a lot of social media videos when I'm recipe
mhm.
developing. Like I made 1 minute mayo on TikTok and Instagram. So that will be a recipe that will turn into a full recipe on Substack. So I I I try to be everywhere, but Substack is the main place where I focus all any new recipe that's not in a book will be on Substack.
Cool. Folks, check out everything Anna's doing. You know what to do. We all go shopping on Amazon. Before you go to Amazon, go to vinnietortorich.com, click through the banner. It puts a little coal on the fire, gets my train down the track. Um, if you want to get a consult in with me, I'm gonna be not doing consults for about 10 days starting on the 3rd of July because I have a lot going on. So I won't do them for about 7 or 8 days. So if you want to get a consult in, get it in before the 3rd of July. I don't know when the show is coming out. I think the show is coming out pretty quickly. But I have the consults. People like doing them. People keep asking me when I'm going to open the VIP. The answer is I don't know yet. That's why I tell people when I open the VIP, you have to get in because it's been at least 7 or 8 months since I've opened a VIP to
Oh,
let
it
people.
has been a while.
It's been a long time. I like to
Yeah.
keep it exclusive. So if you guys want to get in, put your name at vinnietartars.com/VIP. Just put it in there so
Exclusive.
when we open it up, you can be the first to know about it and you can get in. On behalf of Anna Vocino, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with this lady.